out of love and passion, and she's hoping to improve her life in aspect of the deen. Sister Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. نعم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبع بإذنه رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا ما علمتنا وزدنا علما اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone, and thank you very much for logging into today's session, inshallah, to try to pick something to improve ourselves. It's indeed a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to increase us all in goodness. So may Allah make it a beneficial session, inshallah. So we have this topic, liberation, a way of life. And alhamdulillah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us to gather to have this kind of conversation. It's very, very well needed. We have, looking at the reality of we humans, we have natural desire to be free, to live freely, because we are created free beings, right? We have this part of us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created that gives us that sense of freedom. We have free will, we call it, right? So this differentiates us from animals and the angels and the jinns. Other creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not have this free will aside the jinns. We humans, we have this free will. The angels cannot disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't have the ability to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, but we have this free will, a part of us that gives us that sense of understanding, okay, I have the choice to actually obey Allah or disobey Allah. So that's when we are applying the concept of free will to the deen. So, we are presented with the deen, with the details of Islam, and then we have to analyze it, think about it, and look at it. Or do I want to do this or not? Which is not common, which is not part of what the angels were created with. And it's meant to be a blessing to us because it's a test for us. The angels are definitely obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't have any option. They don't have the ability to choose otherwise. But we have this ability to choose otherwise, and that makes it that when we choose to do the right thing, to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to live our life according to the deen, and to, live our best self, we get to enter Jannah, and we are even having a rank higher than those of the angels. And that's why it is a blessing, unless we use it for against ourselves. So this idea of liberation, it's not a word that is so foreign. It's natural to us. That's what we're talking about here. So because we have this free will, right? So the only thing is when we now have issues or situations where others, out of other kinds of desire, like desire to control others, desire to feel superior over time, this excessive of this desire have caused humans to transgress against other humans. So people now have situations where they feel, coerced into choices they don't want to make. They feel they are not living their real freedom as they should live. And for some reasons, they start having this movement of things like, we have things like feminism, we have things like red pill narcissism, red pill masculinity, all coming from a place of dissatisfaction about the level they are allowed to exercise their freedom. So the concept of, I mentioned the concept of free will because I'm trying to establish that, okay, this is the natural thing to us. We have it. It's just part of our build. It's part of our makeup as a human. So we feel this has not been allowed for us enough for some reasons. We then try to break free. All of a sudden we feel, no, we are not going to be in this chain anymore. We want to break free. And so the interesting thing is that Islam is complete. It's a perfected religion by the most perfect. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we even have it before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the time of the Jahiliyyah. The one I first mentioned is the times of, this Western century, these times we are in. But before Islam came, there was a version of oppression that women faced specifically. They don't have their voices in the air. They are not allowed to, they almost take permission to breathe in and out. So you see, they are not living how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants them to live, and it's felt, they feel it. They know something is not going right. And then the Prophet came, brought Islam, freed the women, Tahrir al-Mar'a. They freed the women were given their rights, and it's all there in the Quran. We read it every day, and the habits of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we have this deen that came with establishing the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on how we humans are supposed to relate with one another, how everyone has their rights and how everyone's right is preserved with a balance. It's not about now, no, women speak up, women, you guys, you have the freedom, and now it's now turning around or turning against the men. It's not with the bias against the men. It came with a balance. But if we had believed in this thing, we would have no issues. If everyone were to believe in Islam right now, we will not have these issues we have today. But unfortunately, for some reasons, some people, maybe they've never heard of this these details of the deen, or for some reason over time, some parts have been, kind of covered again. We don't want to hear this, since it's more of the men outside interacting than the women. So we now have these issues rising up again. Women still started feeling those, no, something is not going on right in this world. Why is it this way? Why is it that way? And they come up with these ideas that is not only a freedom to them, is now going beyond what's just a freedom to them. It's now transgressing, it's now coming up with concepts that now have biases against the men. So we now have this set of people too reacting and feeling like, no, we should be having our way. Men want to have their way too. So they feel, some people have real oppression, some people have perceived oppression, because they feel, okay, now we're doing all the work, and then you're telling us you can't do this, we can't tell you to do this and all that stuff. So all these imbalances we're having and we're facing, it's all coming from one particular desire and another thing, which is the absence of the virtue of justice. Nobody is trying to be just. They just want to have their way. They just want to have the loudest voice. They want to feel superior and all that stuff. Only if we live our life according to the deen, the real deen, not the messages we are getting sometimes that is not really true about the deen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us right, because there are just so much in this day and age. May Allah protect us. So, if we were living our life correctly, according to Islam, we will not have a situation where we feel our freedom is being violated or something like that. So the fact is, let's see if this analogy can go. If only we understand that just the same way a person who buys a car, for instance, if it doesn't follow the guidelines of the manufacturer of the car, that's a manual. If the person were to be given a manual, he doesn't use the manual correctly, there'll be issues with that car. In that same version, in that same way, is what applies to us. We are created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He has not left us clueless of what to do. He gave us this manual, but we're not using it correctly. We're not using it as we should use it. And we now feel something is wrong. Something have to go wrong. Something will be wrong. But I think what we should emphasize more is about the beauty of the deen. And then let's redefine what really is liberation. So the thing is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us slaves. So we are humans, but naturally we are to be subjected to, we are subjected to we have to be affiliated to something. We have to be a slave to something. So if we are not being slave to the Supreme, the Most High, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in all ramification, in all sense of that word, then we are slave to something. Right. So we are going to be a slave to something less than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the idea of wanting to be free, we feel the deen is too dictating. That's the subconscious reaction or subconscious thought we have that makes us sometimes not want to, accept to submit to the deen, that makes us find some of these other things attractive, or that we now end up finding ourselves following ideologies that are not supposed to, be enticing at all to us. So it's all about us not knowing the beauty of our deen, So it's all about not knowing the beauty of our deen enough, so much that we can, wholeheartedly submit to it, free willingly submit to it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us solution to everything. Solution to all our desires, our needs, our our day-to-day interaction, how we should go about it in Islam. So we won't have this emptiness or that space for desire to feel liberated if we were really practicing Islam. But in the first instance, when you see it, you feel as if, okay, no, you need to be not doing what you feel like doing. So what is really liberation? That's the question we should ask ourselves. Is it really doing what we feel like doing that is real liberation, or it is doing what we should be doing? Because that's what Islam is. Living Islam is doing what we should be doing. Moderator, give me a second, please.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So, our speaker, so far, I believe we are beginning to take some messages from the lecture. Inshallah, she has talked about living of liberation and why humans are liberal nature, and why we always thought to seek freedom. And she also talked about how to make making sure that after override they are real focus on us. Something around those lines.
So, assalamu alaikum. I'm so sorry for that interruption. I just needed to excuse myself. So now, what's real liberation? Is it really doing what we're supposed to be doing, or what we feel like doing, or doing what we should be doing? And so that's the big question we need to start asking ourselves. What's really freedom? What's freedom? Is it about doing everything we feel like doing? Because that's really what we are all calling for, what we want to do, what we are asking for. Let me be able to do what I want to do. Sometimes even in the day when you tell someone, do this correctly, or you're not doing this correctly, at the same time, it's very important for us to be able to, call people's attention to something in the very best manner. But Even with the very best manner, sometimes you get a reaction of, no, excuse me, I have the freedom to do what I want to do. And the question is it about doing what you want to do, what you feel like doing, or we should be doing the right thing? And that's where we're going to get the real freedom from deep down our soul. So we need to understand this concept of the nafs, and the fact that there's shayateen, there is external influences, there can be waswas, there can be inspiration, negative inspiration from anywhere, and we can be afflicted with evil. So we need to understand these things and why it is important for us to know that, okay, doing the right thing is instead liberation and freedom in the real sense of it. So we're looking at the nerves, for instance. No, it's a topic on its own, but we can just look at it in the lens of this talk we're talking about. So the nerves has, as according to how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has spoken about it, taught us that it has the ability to command evil. So it wants to dwell on evil. It wants to be comfortable. It wants to do, just imagine anything that is not really right. So it's there. It's okay. For instance, you want to feel superior. It's natural for humans to want to feel superior. But one thing is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates those desires for us to choose to use it in the right way. But the nerves will incline you to use it in the wrong way. And that's where you as a person should come in. We have also the desire to control. If we are so busy trying to control our nerves, we will not be so inclined to control others. So the idea is that the desire is there, but if we're not using it the right way, we'll be using it the wrong way. So the desire to control makes us responsible. We want to make sure I'm prepared for this exam because you don't want to fail. So I'm taking care of my family because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask me and I'm going to be answerable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it makes us responsible. It gives us, it's what drives us to integrity, self-restraint too. You don't want to be in trouble with the police. So you're going to take care of whatever can make you fall in trouble with the police. So it's not a problem in and of itself that Allah created this desire within us, but we use it wrongly. So the same desire to control is what makes us look at someone and feel like, I want this person to speak in a certain way and I'm going to manipulate this person. It's also the same desire that makes us look at, children, and you want to insist that they have to sit in a certain way or look certain way or do certain things just to please yourself. It's just the desire to control. That's one of so many desires we have in us. What about the desire to feel superior? Something as simple as mockery, making jest of someone. And you do that, you feel a sense of, I'm better than that person for just a fleeting moment. Or you just look at, she doesn't even know how to speak good English. So that kind of mockery, as little as it may feel, is all coming from a desire to feel superior to others. So you see boasting, meanwhile, if we were to be using it in the right way, it would have been the drive for us to want to have the upper hand with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah told us to race towards goodness. And وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى الْخَيْرَ وَالْمَغْفِرَةِ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ. So the verse is something like this. So we should race towards goodness, compete for good, because we want to have the upper hand with Allah. We want to be among those Allah loves. We want to be righteous. We want to be most righteous because that's the real measure for who's actually better than who. Not when you speak better than somebody and then you make it, make fun of the person in a place that, you just feel good about that just momentarily. So in reality, we have ourselves, our being, and learning about who we are, the kinds of desires we have, our package as a whole, our nerves, knowing who we truly are, and knowing how to curb ourselves from going in the evil way, using every kind of desire we have in the evil way, and instead of just curbing it, we should replace it with using our desires in the right way. And this is exactly how we are going to end up being free. Because what the nerves does, the first one I mentioned is that it has the ability to command evil, right? The second thing is that the nerves can end up overpowering a person. So the nerves would continue to incite you to do something evil, laugh at someone today, whatever. Even if you're not the one that make bully the person, in a classroom, someone can bully another person, and then you find it funny. If you notice the reaction of all those in the class, somebody will find it funny, somebody will try to laugh and try not to laugh. At the same time, somebody will find it irritating and want to stand up against the person. It's all because of the different level at which they're operating, like their nerves is operating. So we need to understand ourselves, know what it does and what it doesn't do, what it can do, understand it properly, and see how we want to stop it from inciting us to do evil. Every single time it makes you want to show off or do something evil, you stop it. You don't do it. You disobey it. So at the end of the day, you take control of it. It will submit to you, and even you don't stop there. You now continue to impose on it good deeds, impose on it goodness to the point that it becomes a nerve that is only satiated by goodness. It doesn't get satisfied unless you're doing something good. So, these characteristics of the nerves, there's even the one that blames. So it's another point where the nerves also continue to remind you, why did you do this? Why did you do this? It incited you in the first place, or maybe it was waswat. But when you do that wrong and it tells you, why did you do this? Why did you do this? It's also another stage. But the highest stage is to have it under your control, truly submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and loving only what the deen dictate and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves. And when we are able to achieve this, then we have ended up being free from being a slave to the nerves. So that's one kind of liberation. So, we are trying to define liberation. Is it really freedom to say whatever? And another thing I like to mention is the fact that for every single desire we have, there is a solution. And the solution the deen provides isn't a solution when things have already gone bad. It's right before it gets anywhere bad. Like, for instance, the Prophet said, "Kulul khair aw yasmut," say good or keep quiet. When the nafs tempts you to say something really mean to someone, and then you remember the hadith of the Prophet, you just keep quiet. Or when the nerves incite you to react with anger, someone annoyed you, and you feel like slapping that person, that's temptation. But you remember La Taghdab, and then you just, the Prophet has already begged me not to be angry, so I'm not getting angry. You continue to, counter the nerves. Whenever it's commanding you to do, what about zina? Don't go near zina. It's not even about don't do zina. It's not, don't go near anywhere near zina. So if you're following that verse of the Quran, you will not even have the opportunity to fall into that problem. So the same thing with lower your gaze. Every single desire a human can have, gluttony. That's why we are fasting Ramadan. We're fasting Ramadan. We are encouraged to do sunnah fasting. A lot of these things to, control our greed and our gluttony, and also have empathy, to feel the pain, to be charitable, to be able to have time to reflect on blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of 11 months of freedom to eat, and then 1 month to, fast for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. So all these things are there in the deen. So why do we look at the deen as a problem or something that is taking away freedom from us? It's exactly what's actually giving us freedom from our nerves. What would help us not to become slaves to our nerves? So that's one kind of liberation. And the worst thing a person can be slaves to is their nerves. And it's a very dark place. And Shaitan now have the freedom to make things worse for the person, because you're actually working with his roadmap to Jahannam. May Allah protect us. So that's one. What about the idea of liberation in terms of yeah, it's all still centering around the same thing. Is it freedom to do what I feel like doing, or freedom to do what is right? So we are agreeing, inshallah, today that it's all about freedom to do what is right. That's what real liberation is. And may Allah protect us. So the only place we can think of somebody not being liberal or not being free is where they're not free to practice their deen. So and this is not really what we have now most of the time. We are, alhamdulillah, at a time where most of the time we have the freedom to practice our deen, except in few cases, some non-Muslim countries. Alhamdulillah. So may Allah protect us. Then we now look into these issues we have right now, the feminism, the masculinity, and I mentioned it's being a problem of imbalance, injustice that is existing. And that's one of the things I'll speak at the last week, the last session we had. Ustaz Sulaiman Fulani mentioned that the deen is a deen of justice. And one of the reasons we have problems, maybe divorce or what have you, is where the virtues of justice has been, abandoned. And that's so true. And that's why we're having this issue of feminism and red pill masculinity issues that we're having all over the place now. And this whole thing is also back to not being submissive to the deen. Or probably we can see it from afar and say maybe some of those people are not aware about Islam. May Allah guide them, right? But we as Muslims, for instance, if we're not cherishing our deen enough, we can find ourselves in situations where these ideas are attractive to us, and it's going to be disastrous. It can be for any of the gender, both women, both men. It can be for any of the gender, because we have a society, in a Muslim society as well, that does not really want to and leave Islam as a whole. We want to only do the part that suits us, the part that seems like favors us, right? So the part that looks like, okay, it's just it's all rosy, and it doesn't it's not strict on us. It's not calling us out in one way or the other. And so that's all because we are not being just. At least when you have to, speak the truth, even if it's against yourself. So we have issues like women believing men are bad and all these things, only because we have a dissatisfaction. Each role, each gender is dissatisfied with the ordainment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A woman has her roles designed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a man has his role designed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what we seem to forget is that these roles, we are just reading it like some text, right? But it's not just that. It's about it being what we already made, like how we already designed, how we already wired, and it fits us perfectly. Even if it looks stressful, for instance, the men can feel this responsibilities is just too much. How am I supposed to be the only one to shoulder all the financial responsibility, the logistics of life? Someone is sick, someone is this, someone is that. It's just me. So I have to take it out on these people. And then they are being toxic or what have you. They forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not burden a soul more than it can bear. He has actually created us to be able to do these things, right? So and in addition to that, he is the one that actually asks us to do it, not the people we are being aggressive towards. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that created a man and said, man, do this. Okay, and he created a woman and said, woman, do this. So we kind of forget that Allah is in the equation, and we only see man and we see woman, and we're all being aggressive and behaving, dissatisfied of what we are expected to do. But if we were to think deeply and realize, okay, Allah is the one that created me, and he said I should do this. That means I can do this. I can do this because he's going to make it easy for me. Then we'll see ourselves turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for assistance. It's not easy when you go to the university, for instance, and you have to do so many things. The transition from secondary school days, you don't really read sometimes. You just go and write your exams. And then now you're in the university, all different and it's looking quite much more difficult, you don't really know you will be able to cope until you try. And that's the point. That's the real point in everything in life. We only need to try. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy. Like the hadith, the Prophet said, whoever wants to be patient, Allah will make it easy for the person to be patient. And you think about it, okay? So it's not really about the person choosing not to talk when someone angers them. They really desire to be patient and they tried a little bit to be patient, and then Allah make it easy for them to be patient. So whoever wants to be a patient person now would just need to practice it. And in the long run, it's really the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not really about their effort. So we need to understand that, okay, now that we have this focus that it's just about Allah's command and the fact that I'm accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is going to call me and ask me about these things, and I have to pass. I can't mess up. So I will do this thing right. I'll try my best. I don't know how I'm going to manage to do it, but I'll try. So trying is just the key word there. We will try and Allah will make it easy. So we will not have some kind of aggression towards the opposite gender. And see, the same thing goes for the women. We have the Sahabiyats. We can look up to them and see how they've actually lived their life and stop feeling dissatisfied with what the Deen is telling us about our rules. So when we look at it really and understand that we are accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not really about this gender. It's not really about what I have to do for this person. It's really about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to do. Being a mother, being a homemaker, and all this stuff. It's not in any way oppression, because the one who has ordained me to do these things is the one who has made oppression forbidden for himself. And so he has even forbidden it for us amongst ourselves. And he is not in any way unjust to me. So when we get these things straight, we stop having some dissatisfaction from within that leads us to, start having some kind of I want to be free and all that stuff. But more than these things are important for someone to work on oneself. The society needs to do a lot about how we humans collaborate to be oppressive, or even individually within homes, we can have these things. So it's all about, we should get it right that Allah has made every man for himself. He's accountable to him alone, and he's the only judge. So we others can remind others about the things they are forgetting, but we are not given any right to set people straight. So, and that's one of the very main causes that we have people wanting to be free, wanting to break free and all that stuff. Because, even the Prophet ﷺ was told countless times in the Quran that I didn't send you as a compeller. You're not to go and insist or force my people, my creations, to do things. Just tell them. You're only but a reminder to them. You should remind them in the best way possible. The Prophet ﷺ, who's already have this very perfect, demeanor, he has this very good character. Right before he became a prophet, still was reminded that you go and spread this message, bil hikmah wa mau'izatin hasana. You have to do it in the very best way. So it's all about we others should only remind others and not try to enforce anything on anyone. It's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's because you can cause the imbalance in the process. When somebody is just being told or reminded, you have that free will to think about it and actually choose it, which means they are actually doing their test without expo, without being forced or anything. They will do their test correctly by themselves, and they'll get their result with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when you're forcing them, it's not going to be really about them choosing it. Maybe they actually did it just because they want to be free at that moment from some kind of threats you're posing at them. So we need to understand this as Muslims as much as we can. Like, we should understand the fact that controlling others is not out of the option, and that desire to control should be something we turn against our own nafs And Allah made it clear to us, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Whoever purifies the nafs is the successful one. Whoever doesn't purify their soul and indulge their soul, allows it to become corrupt, they have lost. So we shouldn't be focused on other things except how we are going to be a free being from slavery to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So like the redefining liberation or freedom right now is going to take us to defining it as following the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's just going to be about we understanding that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the best deen ever, that is perfect fit for us, that is only for our interest and makes us truly free, and not all about instructions. It's not all about instructions. It's about what we need to know to do the right thing and be free. So may Allah make it easy for us and ease this thing for us truly, because it's not just a simple thing to do. It's not easy except that Allah makes it easy. So even Allah mentions that it's not easy except those that have khashya, except those that are submissive, that have the awe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even the salah. So one of the reasons some people are not Muslims today is because of the salah. So we should look at the reality that we are really blessed to have this in the way we are practicing, at the level we are practicing it, and we should strive for more and enjoy what we are doing, enjoy being Muslims, and know that true freedom is in our deen. True freedom, every single thing, if you go try to understand it, if we're sincere and try to understand it, and not try to have our own mindset already, our intellect, I know how to do this thing, and then you look at it, then this one cannot work for me. So when we do that, we're not going to be guided. But when we know already, we have it as a base that, whatever I'm finding here, I mean true knowledge, not misconstrued, not, people do a lot of stuff today, may not protect us. So when we try to find the true knowledge, we allow the Quran to guide us to sound intellect, we are going to be free, we are going to have a very peaceful life, free from problems, and then it's just going to be a blessing all through. No matter what our situation is in this dunya, we have this sakina that is with us. We have this rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the happiness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the things we should kind of focus our mind on as freedom, as liberation, and we should try to live up this liberation, this deen of al-Islam, and ignore whatever we hear outside there that is telling us otherwise, especially the women and even the men, red pill stuff that is all over the place now. May Allah protect us and continue to be with us. And when we do more of our deen, we are also going to end up being protected from things like jinns, evildoers, all this evil afflictions, spiritual afflictions, and that's real protection. That protection is also part of our freedom, because some people will end up becoming changed while they don't know. And it's all a spiritual thing because they've allowed their nafs to be their Lord, and they've followed their nafs. The evil self now have an evil companion, and everything is complicated. It's dark, and may Allah protect us. So when we leave our deen, we enjoy it, we cherish it. Even Ayatul Kursi is such a blessing. We don't know how much of a blessing it is. May Allah continue to be with us and continue to make the deen easy for us. Jazakumullah khairan for listening. May Allah be with us and protect us. I'm going to be stopping here, inshallah, so that moderator will take it up from here, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum, can you hear me?
Wa alaikum salam.
I can't hear the moderator, so I'm not sure if he has taken over.
So I think maybe the moderator's network is a bit, maybe he's having a bit of challenge. I think I'll take up from here. Jazakumullah khairan, Sister Taskira, for the enlightenment of liberation in Islam, because most of the time, as Muslims, we always believe that everything that is going on right now is a bit difficult for us. Just like the last brother that spoke last week when he spoke about his topic as well. We are all the world we're living in right now is more on what this dunya has to offer. Most of us are not totally conscious about our akhirah, forgetting that we are all just passing by, like all we're just all like travelers in this life. We all think we have all the years, the time, and everything to see how much we can change in this dunya. That okay, yeah, I still have about 40 years, I still have about 20 years. Most time we forget that even death can actually come this hour that we are sitting right now. That's anybody away. But we try to look more into what we need to do for dunya than rather for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like our speaker said, whatever we are doing, Allah should come first, and we should know that the liberation of Islam is not the liberation of what dunya has to offer us, but the liberation of what will take us closer to Allah and make us have the eternal life, which is a paradise, even lighter. Because we always look at okay, what we should wear, what we should do. Like she said, she spoke about feminism and red pill masculinism, the way men think about women, the way women think about themselves, that they have the right for this and all that. So Jazakallah khairan sis for that education and enlightenment, teaching us much about Deen, and this is the essence of the Ramadan in Me program, that we need to all sit down and reflect as Muslims, not to live our life only for the sake for Ramadan period, but also after Ramadan. And that's why it's called Ramadan in Me series. Preparing yourself for Ramadan, what you intend to achieve in the month of Ramadan, and what you intend is like to be part of you after the month of Ramadan. Because of the fact that as Muslim, everything in Islam has been said, and everything in Islam is known. Alhamdulillah. So I don't know if anybody have questions, comments for the speaker or additional discussion, stuff to add to the topic, so that we can all learn from each other and be able to take something back from Bismillah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum. I don't know if anybody can hear me, please.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
MashaAllah. So I don't know if we have anyone. We have Mohammed Ikmam, Malam Ikmam. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Brother Abdulaziz Ademola, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Nah, mashallah, barakallahu fiik. So I don't know if you can help us add to the topic on liberation in Islam, or maybe have questions or something for the speaker. Bismillah.
Oh, you mean I should contribute? I did not get that.
Bismillah, you can contribute, please. Because liberation is a problem we are having in Islam as a Muslim today in this world. So the way we see things, we have lots of people believing that okay, we have to do certain things because we want to please certain people in dunya, forgetting that our purpose is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as Muslims, what would you advise, you understand, trying to way to manage your liberation in life?
Alhamdulillah, I mean, the speaker has actually done justice to the topic when she was talking about the mind, the soul. When she said the soul is inclined to doing, bad things, and it is like that. And the best way to actually call yourself back is to go to the guiding the guidelines, the beginning, the origin of things, that is your creator who has created you, like she said, the manual. So there's no way you can go wrong going back to the manual. And now where will you put yourself in the so-called growing and corrupt world nowadays? Because going back to the kitab, to the book, now you'll be seen as that's archaic person. And well, if you still go to the same book, you get the reason why you'll be seen as so. And so, as a result of that, you have nothing to worry about. Just knowing fully well that Allah has given you the right to choose whatever it is you want to do, and you have chosen a path for yourself, which is an Islam. And Islam in itself is, complete, as the speaker has said. So there's no way you can go wrong with your Islam. And for you to, to actually prosper in this, contaminated setting and all, you have to look at the big goal ahead of you. You are not here to satisfy anybody. It's not a permanent time. You have fame. You will not be famous till the end of time. Even from histories we have, you read about people that were powerful. At the end of the day, where are they now? Even talking about our own country, the president some few months back will command anything to happen, it will happen. In some days' time, he's going to lose that position. So if you think ahead of what you have in front of you, you definitely feel more contempt, peace. I mean, following the guidelines of Allah. May Allah make it easy for us. I mean.
I mean, Jazakumullah Karen for that. I don't know. Let me see what else we have on the on board. Brother Habib, Assalamu alaikum. Do you have any addition to to this topic? Comment.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, may Almighty Allah bless our speaker for today and all of us listening. What I've just, my own take from what the speaker have said, our guest lecturer, is that the soul is always inclined to evil. So we should try to talk it out of those evils. But at the same time, we should also always remember that we are humans, because setting too high, let me say, achievable or deliverables, too high targets for ourselves often does more harm than good. Because just today, we want to, just because, we've listened to this lecture now, suddenly we want to become sheikhs, we want to start, okay, starting from now on, it's only Quran, I want to start listening to, I will not listen to music again. Then, you are very excited and very agile because you want to control the nerves for not listening to music, for example. And you find out that because you've given yourself too high a target for the day, you find out that maybe you just do 1 week or 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, and you are back to that music, and you will not even listen to any of the Quran again. That's because we've set too big a target for ourselves. So I believe that whatever target we are giving ourselves this Ramadan and going forward should be achievable. It is not all about changing all at once. Permit me just to use from a book called Atomic Habits. Just look for one thing, little things that people outside wouldn't even know that you are working on. Just one at a time, little at a time. If you are going to in the next 30 days after Ramadan, you find out that, I'm able to do this, I've achieved this, rather than setting a mountainous kind of target that would later forfeit or defeat the main aim. May Allah make everything easy for all of us. That's just my own contribution. Thanks.
Jazakumullah khairan for that. Madam Ikma, Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Sister Miriam, Assalamu alaikum. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. I don't know who is AA. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, I don't know if you have questions for the speakers. At least Jazakumullah khairan everyone for your contribution. So the most important thing, like she has said, is we should try and work on our nerves, because our nerves actually cause us more to evil than good, and that's where Allah Subhanahu wa Taala has created us. So we should always know that whatever we are doing, we're all returning back to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and that's one of the major things we should be planning for our return to Allah. Because people always say something. The only thing that is constant is change. But we also forget that the only thing that is inevitable is death. You know, we see change as something we need to do. We need to change our schools. We need to change our dressing. We need to change the way we talk and all that, because like that's the only thing that is constant. But how many of us have actually prepared for that hour that is inevitable in our life? So I don't know if we don't have any other question, if you don't have any suggestion. I think I'll hand over the mic back to the moderator, Brother Anif, to give a closing remark. Bismillah. Brother Anif, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Sister Teskira, Sister Aziza, Brother Demola, Abdulaziz Demola, Brother Habib as well, for your contributions. Thank everybody for participating in the program. I hope we implement whatever we've learned today in our daily lives till whenever we pass on the earth, and also try to share this message with our peers, because this is a very big issue. You see a lot of people making statements that will take them out of Islam because they do not understand the weight of those statements. So my advice is basically to share this knowledge, please, as much as you can, and try and make it part of our daily routine. And inshallah, Islam will be back to where it's supposed to be, and Muslims will be behaving the way we are supposed to behave and showing the true look of Muslim and Islam in them. That's all that being said. Alhamdulillah for a successful lecture and program. We apologize for the tardiness and also network issues on my end. Maybe inshallah meet here tomorrow safely for another lecture. May whatever knowledge we've learned today not be of waste to us. May we use it to its full. And may Allah put barakah in our speakers and our listeners. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.